practice go for you, and what are your expectations here for Sunday afternoon?
Well, the first practice went remarkably well. I don't know what happened, but I think we finished up near the top 10 or top 5, so I've either figured something out or the track's being good to me, or we got our car a little bit better than it had been in the past. But all kidding aside, it seems like it's decent for the first part of it. Hopefully we can qualify up there, and then tomorrow work on, trying to get it to run like that on long runs is going to be the important part. So feel pretty good about it so far, and looking forward to Sunday.
Okay, very good. If you have questions for Greg Biffle, raise your hand, and we'll bring you the wireless. Amanda, if you want to walk up this way, we'll start here with Tom, and we'll go to Dustin, and then to Mike Mulhern.
Hi, Greg. Tom Jensen, Speed.com. How much has Roush Fenway benefited with the affiliation with Richard Petty Motorsports since they moved to Ford, and is it important that team survives for Roush Fenway's performance level?
Well, I think that we've benefited greatly from the relationship. I think we've benefited more. I would have to say we've probably benefited a little bit more from the relationship than they have. That may not be a true statement. We've gotten our cars better and more competitive because of some technology that they had. But I think we've been able to help them on parts and pieces and producing their cars and manufacturing and all those. So I think it's been a two-way street, but we've benefited speed-wise, which competitiveness-wise, we've got a greater benefit out of that part of it. They've got probably greater benefit of being, having more durable pieces and not having breakage, stuff breaking on the racetrack issues. So, I think it's and it's important for them to survive. Because the relationship between our company and their company, they can bring information to the table that they can learn. We can learn at the racetrack, and it helps us, I think, to manufacture parts and pieces for them, similar as Hendricks does for other people and Gibbs. So I think it's important that they survive, and for Ford, we're the only Ford team, the two of us. So I think it's important that we keep presence in the sport.
Okay, Dustin, I believe, had one, and then Mike Mulhern had one.
Dustin Long, Landmark Newspapers. Greg, in the spring race, we saw a situation where Denny came in, gave up the lead with about 10 to go, came in, changed 4 tires, with some circumstances able to come back and win. Has the thinking process changed as, especially this fall race, has seen a lot of cautions in the last 15, 20 laps to now go in and take tires, or was that just everything fell in place for Denny that it can't happen again?
Well, I think a little of both. I think that tires are important here. Tires are worth a lot of speed, but you got to be able to pass. And when the cars are side by side, it makes it difficult to get, to pass here. So there were some unique circumstances that, they're a little bumping and banging. The cars got slowed up. He got some, lane choices there that worked for him. So can it be done? Certainly. There'll be guys that do it again this year. I tend to like to have tires on it, to have grip and so you can really go. But track position is nice as well. So you got to juggle those two between one another on track position or tires. So. 15 to go. I'm probably thinking about 2, and a lot of it depends on how many laps do I have on my tires. Do I have 140 laps on my tires, or 125, or do I have 60, or less? So that makes a big impact as well. And the other thing is when was the last caution? There's so much that goes into it. So let's say there was a caution 10 laps earlier or 15 laps earlier, everybody stayed out. Well, 12th on back stopped for tires. Right? So now we went another 12 laps, caution comes out again. If we pit, 12th on back are staying out because they got tires 15 laps ago. So now you're going to start 8th with cars that have pretty good tires. So if you stay out, you got 8 cars behind you that you might be able to stay in front of that the new tires are stuck behind. So it's like so many scenarios can happen, and that's what a crew chief has to determine is all those scenarios. What if, what if, what if?
Next question. Go ahead, Mike, and then we'll go back here to Steve.
Mike Muller and MikeMuller.net. Looks like we're looking at Jimmy Johnson winning a 5th championship this year. Looks like it's down to maybe two challengers for him or something like that. It's getting to be an old broken record. How do you feel about that now? I mean, what's it like for you? I mean, you're probably out of the race like Jeff Gordon's out of the race, and so it's like a burden's lifted, but you got to race 4 or 5 more races. I mean, how do you feel right now about all this?
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating that you work all season, and it gets down to comes down to you pitted and the caution came out and trapped you, and then it comes down to we had the engine too lean and we blew up, and therefore we're out of the hunt and we got to wait till next year, and to make another show, go with the title. First we got to make the chase, then we got to perform again. So that's a lot to think about, a lot to look to. And as far as the championship goes, the reality is if you're not in it, I don't really care. You know what I mean? If I can't win it, then it doesn't really affect me. If Jimmy wins it again, or Denny wins it, or Kevin Harvick, or Tony, it's not going to impact me that much. So, I mean, I'm just going to compete and try and do the best I can, and see where I can get to in the points, and just see what happens.
Who had the next question? Steve, go ahead.
Steve Richards with PRN. Talladega, Greg, looks like the last 3 races you've had 2 top 10s, including a 4th place. Have you had some kind of strategy that's worked for you? Is it just luck or a little bit of both?
I think both. Stay out of the wreck and stay out of the wreck. It's got us top 10 finishes. We've got good cars. Almost won the Daytona 500. We've been right there restrictor plate racing. It's just a matter of some you get through, some you don't, and I like restrictor plate racing, but I don't like being in the wreck. So hopefully we have another top 10 run coming up. I'm looking forward to it, and maybe the tides will change if 48 wrecks, and Mulhern will have something to write about when he's 60 points behind.
There you go. Other questions for Greg? Al Pierce has one, and then Jim Utter.
That was positive, Mulhern. That was a positive comment.
Greg, Al Pierce from Auto Week. Most drivers who are sort of on the edge of the chase aren't willing to say that they're out of it yet. But if you were Jeff Gordon, if you were 156 behind, would you think you were out of it?
156, and how many cars are in front of him?
3.
3?
He's 4th.
No, he's not out of it.
You think not?
No.
Okay.
Because those 3 wreck at Talladega, where's he at?
Okay.
And that's very possible. I mean, now ask me that question
after Talladega.
After Talladega.
Okay.
And I'll tell you whether I think he's out of it or not. But at 150 points, he's not out of it. Because the thing you got to remember at Talladega, about every car finishes. So we're coming to the white, and those guys wreck, they get 36th place. It's not like you're going to get 21st. Okay. You're going to get, you spin out on the white flag, and you're in the, you're in the gutter. So that 150 points, yeah. Now, if they all run in the top 15 or top 10 at Texas, Phoenix, and Homestead, yeah, he's out of it. But next week is going to determine, how far. And he's got to gain points next week on those, at least 2 of those guys, the furthest ones ahead of him.
So that is indeed the wild card race.
I think so. In
this one, right?
In this one, you could have your brakes go out. You could burn a gear up. You could have normally we don't see engine issues here. So, you know, and if you get spun out here or something like that, or you get involved in something, normally you can keep going. So it's not so much of a wild card, but I think next week clearly is, because we know that there's wrecks at those racetracks. It's just, you know, the bingo machine of who's going to be in it.
Thank you.
Any further questions for Greg, Reed, and then, I'm sorry, Jim, and then Reed?
Jim Uttershaw, Observer. Take this question one other step. Isn't it true, though, that if the guy who's won the last 4 is leading, whether it's 40 points or 4, as a competitor, if you were one of these people that were in the thick of it, you can't count on a wild card race, though. You, at some point, you have to beat the guy, right?
Yes. There's no doubt he has to beat him. And his question was, is he out of it? And I would say no, because he's not going to be in front of him after Talladega unless he finishes, I'm not pretty good at math, but I don't know the numbers exactly. But, you know, let's say Jeff Gordon finishes in the top 5 and Jimmy gets involved in a wreck and he's in the high 30s. They're going to be real close. And now, yes, Jeff Gordon will have to outperform Jimmy Johnson at Phoenix, Texas, and Homestead. Not every race, but he's going to have to perform at that level of him. And now maybe Jeff Gordon feels like they can't perform at that level. You know, maybe that's possible. I feel like I can't, I wouldn't say can't perform at that level, but I would say my odds here of performing with the 48, the 11, and the 24 are less than the other 3 racetracks. The other 3 racetracks, I feel like I can beat them. And Jeff Gordon has to feel like he can beat him here in maybe 1 or 2 of those other racetracks in order to, you know, I'm speculating on what, you know, his thought process would be.
Okay, Reed.
Reed Spencer with Sporting News. Greg, Casey Kane's taking some criticism for not returning to the car after Charlotte. Same thing with Kyle Busch in 2007 under similar circumstances at Texas. A lot of us remember, for instance, at Indianapolis when Earnhardt had tears in his eyes when he was not able to get back into the car. And back in the old days, it seemed drivers had to be physically restrained from not getting back in the car. Have things changed that much?
In my eyes, no, because I'm going to have to be physically restrained not to get back in that car. And I will have tears in my eyes if I can't drive it. That's all there is to it. That's what they pay me to do. I take pride in that, to do my best, whatever it is. You know, and I'll admit I'm not the best driver at Martinsville, but when I go out on the racetrack, I give it 110%, whether I'm running 28th or running 5th or wherever I'm at. I give it 100% all the time, and I'll never quit on my guys or myself until I can't do it anymore. And I find it ironic that Kyle was driving for Rick Hendrick when he decided not to get back in the race car, and that's who Casey's going to drive for. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know all the circumstances around it, but I didn't know he was sick before the race or during or whatever, so I don't know all the, you know, I wasn't in Casey's shoes, so I can't criticize whether he was physically able to get back in or not. That's Casey's call. So, but I would be there too. You know, I'd be scratching and clawing to, you know, there's times I don't want to go back out, you know, but when I'm asked to go back out on the track, I do the best I can do.
Okay, Greg, thank you very much.